the same language that he knows provoked violence on January 6th. As a party, we need to be focused on the future. We need to be focused on embracing the Constitution, not embracing insurrection.
The third-ranking House Republican Liz Cheney commenting on former President Donald Trump's comments as headliner of the RNC retreat at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. Cheney was not in attendance, but reports are that Trump praised the people who attended his rally that sparked the Capitol riot and attacked the Republicans who refused to go along with his false claims about a stolen election. A source tells NBC News he called Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell a dumb son of a bee and a stone-cold loser, and said, quote, a real leader would have never accepted the electoral results. He also attacked Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, who stood by Georgia's results. Trump said he was, quote, disappointed in Mike Pence, where's Mike Pence, for certifying the election. The Associated Press reports that some attendees were left feeling uncomfortable.
Oh, whatever.
Really?
You're in a room with this guy.
Come on.
Who was a
now uncomfortable?
Was a fascist as a president, even though you may not have been a fascist voting for him. He was a fascist president who tried to undermine an election, who tried to have his opponent arrested.
You're now uncomfortable.
2 weeks before the election. And you're now uncomfortable.
That's amazing. Oh. One of Trump's
you have a very high threshold.
Chief defenders, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, told the AP, quote, we are much better off if we keep focusing on the Democrats, period. Huh. Also notable is Donald Trump's political war chest compared to the RNC as they prepare for the 2022 midterms.
Not good. But at least we know, if you're a Republican, that Donald Trump is going to share that money with...
No.
Never mind.
So this is what Donald Trump has done to you, Republicans. The former president, $85 million. The party, $84 million.
And I love the quote that somebody had there, like, why are you here after all of this? And she said, well, because we were losers before Donald Trump came along. He showed us how to win. You have the first guy since Herbert Hoover, the only one-term president since Herbert Hoover to lose the White House, to lose the House, and to lose the Senate. And now you're looting the Republican National Committee's coffers and giving it to this guy, which is not going to help the Republican Party. This guy who, just last week we found out about a scam that he was conducting where poor working class Americans, middle class Americans had their bank accounts drained because they had such sleazy tactics, used purposely sleazy tactics to fool working class Americans into having their bank accounts drained for Donald Trump. Wow. That's somebody to support.
White House reporter for the Associated Press, Jonathan Amir, co-founder of Punchbowl News, Anna Palmer, and U.S. national editor at the Financial Times, Ed Luce. Eddie Glaude is still with us as well.
So, first of all, I've just got to say, Jonathan Lemire, I've run out of historical metaphors. I get all the way back to Charlemagne seeing the burning cross in the sky for our Boston Red Sox, but they won yet again. I'm afraid I'm going to have to go back to the campaigns of Alexander the Great if this winning streak keeps going on. But we must, of course, prepare, though, because we have a big day ahead of us with our pregame show on Clubhouse, Red Sox pregame show on Clubhouse.
It's so good.
Since 1946, I think it is, Jonathan Lemire, after we got back from the war.
Yeah, that was our debut episode, and the 1946 season ended in heartbreak for our Red Sox, Joe, but things are looking up at the moment. Yes, the historical comparisons right now, we may need to go to the Old Testament to find an analogy for how the Red Sox are playing at this moment. J.D. Martinez, 3 more home runs yesterday, and indeed a Clubhouse pregame show, the Red Sox pregame show that no one out there knew they needed, but are now so glad that they have. Myself, you, Mike Barnacle, Mike Lupica, a cast of thousands. We'll be doing it again later today before the Red Sox take on the first place Red Sox take on the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, it's the first place Red Sox is sweeping every team that gets in their way. Ed Luce. So we're going to go from baseball, who we know only about 3 or 4 people like that are listening to this right now. We're going from baseball to what happened in South Florida. Donald Trump goes in, he's attacking the Republican Party, continuing the civil war in Georgia, just like he did. It's the Civil War, the Republican Party, just like he did in Georgia leading up to those runoffs. He's dividing the money. He keeps the money for himself. And yet these Republicans still blindly continue to follow a guy that has put them in a minority status in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, Joe, I was terrified you were going to ask me about the Red Sox, so thank you for asking me about that.
Oh, Ed. Poor Ed.
The center of gravity of the whole Republican Party has moved with Trump and the Trump family to your state, to Florida, and to southern Florida. And I think the fact that the whole RNC retreat, this spring retreat, shifted from Palm Beach to Mar-a-Lago to hear Trump assassinate most of the Republican leadership is more than just symbolic. The center of gravity is there. The period after a defeat like this, when you've lost both chambers of Congress plus the White House, is normally one for reflection, for reform, and for rebuilding. But who are we talking about? We're talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump remains the conversation. People who were upset with what he said on Saturday at Mar-a-Lago are being quoted anonymously. They're not coming out by name, except for 1 or 2 like Liz Cheney, who are already outcasts from the Trump world. They're not coming out by name and saying, look, we've got to change. This man is a death wish. The party is going to sink if we stick to a Trumpian agenda. They're not coming out by name. And until they do come out by name, the party remains Trump's. I think it's also worth noting, you gave those money figures, that Trumpian figures like Josh Hawley and Marjorie Taylor Greene are having absolute bonanza fundraising first quarter. They both raised in excess of $3 million. People who are quiet about Trump or less Trumpian are not raising